These things are absolutely delicious, crunchy, and addictive. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Creation Homestead. I'm out here getting ready to step into the garden. I'm going to take you in the kitchen in just a moment. But first of all, I want to talk to you about my love of fried squash. I love fried yellow squash, and summer is one of my favorite garden treats, to be honest with you. And oddly enough, Angela and her mother had neither one never heard of frying squash or had a fried squash. I can't comprehend that, but they hadn't up until I turned them on to it, right? Because this is something that we did my whole life growing up. And a good fried yellow squash is just a delicious taste of summer to me. And Angela has figured out how to cook a mean. She fries a mean yellow squash, and I'm gonna pick these yellow squash and let her show you how to take care of them, okay? So we grow early straight neck variety, okay? Not crook necks, this is straight neck. So here's this one. He's a little young and tender, but he'll eat. All right, now look, we got these two squashes here. Now, obviously, this one's young and tender, and this one's really small. Now, I'm going to explain this to you. The only reason we picked this one so small, okay, is because we have 3 other that are small yellow squash on there that are much smaller than this, and we want to make sure they have plenty of energy to grow and get to a pickable size at the same time. And this one would have been ready at an awkward time for us, where we just wouldn't have been able to use them fresh. And so we'd want to make sure we got it now, and we can just use this right here, and that'll be just enough for us for supper.
As Jason told you, we're going to be frying some squash today. And he showed you our beautiful squash. Now, what I do to fry these squash, I use the same cornmeal, the cornmeal mix. See, I use Martha White. You can also use White Lily. Unfortunately, we do not have access to White Lily cornmeal here, but I use the self-rising cornmeal mix. If you do not have this, just take some regular cornmeal, mix it with a little bit of flour and a little bit of salt, a little bit of baking powder. You got the same thing. And I put it on wax paper because it makes cleanup so much easier. How much you use depends on how many squash you have to fry. Sprinkle a good little bit of salt on it. In with it, a little bit of pepper, mix it together. I have sliced my squash at about that thickness. It's maybe 1/4 of an inch. You can slice them even thinner, and then they get really crunchy and they're almost like little potato chips. Ain't nobody gonna complain about that. And I've salted those. I've sliced them up like that, salted them, and put just a tiny bit of pepper on them. Now, if you have one small squash, like the one I was telling you about, the one Jason showed you, that we were doing for the life of the plant, then cut it on an angle. See, it's cut on an angle. You get bigger slices that way. Now, how you get these super, super crunchy? I double coat them. So now, I'm going to put them in for their first coat. You just want to put them in there. You don't need to dip them in egg or anything like that, because they are super wet on their own. They are just, when you salt them, there's already moisture coming out of them when you cut them. When you salt them, moisture comes out like crazy. Now, you just want to dust. You just want to get them in your hand. After you do that, shake them off. Just shake them off like that. And I just lay them out to the side so that the first coating can adhere to them. Just shake it all the excess off. Just lay them out to the side. Some slices are going to be thicker, some are going to be thinner. It doesn't matter. They're all going to be delicious. So I'm going to keep coating these for the first coat, and then I'll show you what we do next. Now at this point, we're over here at the stove. I've got a 12-inch skillet. You can use any kind of skillet you like. I'm using a large one, that way I can fry more at one time. I'm going to turn my heat on medium. And I've got about half an inch or so of a neutral flavored oil. You can use canola, you can use avocado, you can use any neutral flavored oil that isn't going to impart a lot of flavor. And over here I have a plate lined with paper towel to catch the drippings. That way they're not so greasy. We've turned the heat on. You don't want to turn it on above medium because you don't want your oil to get too hot. If your oil gets too hot, they're going to get really dark brown before the inside is cooked. Then you're going to get crunchy squash inside, and that's really not what you're looking for. So I'll be back when the oil's hot enough, and I'll show you how to test the oil to know when it's hot enough and how to do the second coat. How you test to see if your oil is hot enough is you take a little bit of your cornmeal and sprinkle it in. And if it starts frying instantly, then it's ready to go. As you can see, it didn't start frying exactly instantly, but close. So we have just a few minutes to do the second coat on some of our squash, because we will only do the second coat in batches as we need them in the pan. So now you see all these beautiful squash with the first coating on them. Now we're going to put them back into our cornmeal, and we're going to give them a second coat. Shake them off. And we can probably fit a few more than that. It's a 12-inch skillet, so it should be able to hold quite a few. So we'll coat up a good bit. With our second coat, this makes them super crunchy and delicious. You want to do the same thing. You want to shake off all the excess. Now, meet me back at the oil, and I'll show you how we fry them. Now we're going to just start dropping our squash in, and see, it's starting to fry around the edges immediately. It probably could be a little bit hotter, but it'll be fine. Now you don't want to just crowd them on top of each other. You want to keep them separated. So don't overcrowd your pan, because instead of getting crispy, they'll just start steaming, and then they'll get soggy and gross. So you want to keep them nice and separated. Instantly, the minute they hit the pan, they smell amazing. Now this is one batch going in. I won't start doing the second coating on the other batch until these come out, because you don't want that second coating to get all soggy. And you want to fry these until they're golden brown on one side, and then flip them over and fry them till they're golden brown on the other side. I'll show you what they look like when they're ready to be flipped. Now these are starting to get nice and golden brown. See? You want to be patient with them. Don't rush flipping them, because you want them to be super brown and super crispy. So you don't want to rush flipping them. Look at that. Aren't those gorgeous? I tell you, if Jason wasn't outside watering the garden, he would be, as quick as these can come out of the pan and cool off enough that he don't burn his pie hole, he's shoving these in his mouth. He loves some fried squash. I have to admit, I'm pretty fond of them myself. Now you want to get them all flipped. The second side isn't going to take as long as the first side, because your oil has gotten a little hotter, and also the squash inside is already cooked at this point. So this side is going to go much quicker. Now you just want to keep peeking underneath and checking them until they're nice and brown on both sides. See, like that one? This one right here is nice and brown on both sides. So you want to go ahead and pull him out. And as they get nice and brown, just go ahead and pull them out, because you don't want them to burn, because they will burn. You don't want them to burn. You do want a nice brown on them. The minute they come out of the oil and they're nice and hot, you want to hit them with just a little tiny sprinkle of salt. That way they're fully seasoned and ready to go. Now I'm going to finish frying these up. Listen to this. Listen how crunchy that is.
Hey, what you got going on?
Frying squash.
Yeah. I'll take that. Look at that. A little blurry, but I don't care. That's delicious. I'm gonna keep eating them, bro.
Is it something they don't want to make?
No, yeah.
Are they super crunchy?
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, one more piece of squash before we go, all right? These things are absolutely delicious, crunchy, and addictive. It's so good. And honestly, I don't know where you guys are at in the world, but Appalachia in the United States, Western North Carolina, Blue Ridge Mountains, whatever you want to call it, these things are absolutely a must straight out of the garden every year, constantly. You can't get enough of them. Thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. I'm Jason. It's Angela Kay, Art Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you and goodbye.